Hey class. So today I'm working on some, let's just call it an experiment. So we're gonna figure out how to turn this into some clay tool. Curious? Hey guys, Mr.G here. Today we're gonna be doing some experimentation that I've done for a minute. Now, one of those big things that schools toss out a lot is technology, old technology, things that are crusty, lots of dust. So they toss the stuff out all the time. And it's being mindful of what they're tossing out to, can you actually use this in class? I'll be honest, I'm a hoarder. But that's okay for me, because using all these different tools, we use them to the benefit of our students. We use it to the benefit of progressing art in the way that we create art and make things. So today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you guys a couple tricks that I use of taking found objects that I've got and I turn them into some clay tools or turn them into different things that we use in class. A couple things that you're going to need today. I have a precision mini screwdriver set. If you've got a screwdriver set, a couple Phillips head screwdrivers are going to be solid. Needle nose pliers are quite handy. I've got these jewelry making pliers, and they also come in really handy just because something that you can hold and torque and twist if that way you don't want to bust your hands up. Pair of scissors, some electrical tape, and then your pieces that you're going to be breaking down. All right, so if you've never seen one of these before, this is a CPU cooler. What's a CPU? Hang on, I need another prop. So this old computer, we're going to take off our side panel. There we go. Okay, so we got a Phillips head screwdriver back here on this board. Try and keep all hardware together. What I like to do is have my tape dispenser and I put my stuff in there. Now we have a multi-tool here. Well, if you've seen lots of those professional potters on when you're turning and it'll cut the clay, nice trim tool. These are great. These things are really sturdy. Okay, maybe not that sturdy. These are really sturdy pieces of metal, so they will actually work for a long time when you're trimming clay. And then what I like to do, because sometimes these edges are a little sharp and we don't want our students to have get injury, you can take a bit of electrical tape. And I prefer the electrical tape to masking tape or whatnot because this tape is rubber. So when you wrap it around something, one, it will stay waterproof. It will stay watertight, nice watertight. Make sure that as we're working with clay, that the moisture from the clay doesn't degrade the tape over time. You can also take a heat gun and kind of shrink wrap this around different tools, which is another thing that I like about it. So those are a couple examples of what you guys can do with the keys. Now the boards themselves, I also wouldn't toss these out. You never know what you might want to do with these. The green stuff that makes up a computer chip board is a resin composite. It will burn out cleanly inside of a kiln and you'll be left with the circuit bits. Now that is not, it will not last through a low fire temp. These things will, the gold and everything that is actually making up these circuits, that will burn off at, the melting point on that is right around 1900 degrees. So if you're going to use it to melt for the board metals, if you take it to that low fire cone 0406 range, you will be burning that stuff out, so you want to make sure that you're more delicate with that. But again, do experimentation, see what you want to do with it. Again, all these pieces that I do are not food safe, but I do these for just fun experimentation pieces so that my students can get some different ideas on some different things that they want to make with using tech in their pieces. Now, by far my most fun thing that I've created so far is taking shims out of an old radiator, the cooler that goes on top of your CPU. So all you're doing is just pulling these things apart. So here we got some metal that we pulled from another cooler, and it's just these thin aluminum sheeting pieces, and all we're going to do is just going to snap off a couple real quick. Now, what I found that works best with this is just a pair of scissors, and what we're going to do is we're going to tip this a little bit. So we're going to take off these nice sharp points, and we're going to cut around it just a little bit to give it a little bit of a graceful curve, and then we're just going to slightly fringe top. What I like about when you do this, the metal kind of bends around, so just pinching a little bit. Now, I wouldn't do this with like a super brand new pair of scissors because you are cutting metal, so it is dulling those blades slightly, and I can feel it actually kind of pinch a little bit as it's cutting into that metal. But you know, we all have at least one pair of scissors that we can devote to something like this. So all I did was pinch down that edge, and on this final edge, because it's super sharp, I'm gonna take my needle nose plier, I'm just gonna tip it up and fold it under a little bit. So now we have a scraper tool that we can use to slip and score with. Nice, all these little teeth. So So you can scratch your clay to create the slip and score technique. Again, we got our black electrical tape. I'm just gonna wrap it around that bottom edge. So now I have a nice soft handle for my students to hold on to as they're working on slipping and scoring, and have all these wonderful little teeth here for the piece. Now, if you have some wooden tools, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap the metal around the tool, but what we're gonna do is you can use your hands to fold it around because it is a soft metal, but you definitely want to keep it once you get to a point, so you need to start fine tuning. So taking our piece of metal that we bent over, that little bit of a shim, you go to your local ethnic grocery store. I got a couple around me that they sell all these different types of chopsticks. Love them for that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our chopstick, apply it in the middle just like so, grab our pliers, and we're just gonna pinch it around that bottom base, and we're gonna fold it just to crimp. Use our black tape again, take it, wrap it around a couple times, and we have a nice long-handled trimmer so we can trim, scratch, score all of our clay pieces. Also works well for dexterity. This is really good for multiple usage. If you have a student who dexterity is an issue, they have something stronger to hold on to that they can press on. I know that most needle tools, they got that nice handle, but you know, I got a bigger hand, so using something like this is much easier. Also, having the kids make their own tips so they can figure out what shape that they want to use for their carving instruments, it just creates that little bit more personality that they want to work with on their own. And again, you can make different tips and you can cycle them in and out. Just take off the black tape, add a new one on. You will probably need to use a new piece of black tape every time because it's the sticky factor. But what I like also about this is you can use a heat gun on this, and it'll shrink the rubber around this a lot tighter, so then this doesn't fly off. If they're trimming on the wheel, you don't have to worry about this coming off, even though this is, you know, really like this is on there very securely, so that helps as well. But you have just several ways that you can make a DIY tool out of stuff like this. So what I love about going through different parts, you tend to find different shapes that you can do so much with. So here we have all these circular rounds. It's a grill cover that would go on a fan cooler here. It's just so that nothing goes into the fan and then chops up the cooler, stopping this. Your CPU stops cooling and your computer overheats. That's what this is for. By taking this off now, we have a different element that we can work with in class. We have all these circular tracer pieces now that we can use. We can get circle designs, lay this on top of clay, stamp it. Same with the fan blades here. But going through these things, you can find just different tools, different applications. So anyways, you have just so many different things for texture, different things that you can use for stamp, for metal application. If you want to start including metal into your works, just to create different things, it's just the ideas, the options are endless as far as stuff that you can add. Hope this was informative for you guys, so that you guys can go out and make your own tools and come up with some different ideas and just experiment and figure out what fun stuff you guys can find out in the world to use in the classroom. Let's wrap up homework while I'm finishing this up, which is, don't forget to like, subscribe, share on all the various platforms. Make sure that we'll get the message out there. As always, if you have a question, comment, concern, raise your hand down in the comments below. Happy to answer those questions from my classmates. And as always, see you guys next class. Later, guys. I wish I had a a vacuum. I need a ceiling vacuum. This is like old tech.